All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to get all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I here spreading this gospel and sincerity and truth throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom. I got this article, that I seen. It says, who chief warns the world must prepare for even deadlier pathogens than the C19. And there's a few words, words in here, that YouTube will take these videos down for. So, I'm gonna kind of skip over those, but y'all to see the certain words that I'm talking about once I'm reading through the article. So, just fill in the blanks. But, this is basically, them letting you know that, it was some months ago or about a year ago, Bill Gates was talking about how there's gonna be something more scarier and more surreal than the whole C19 thing, you know. And he said that that's coming soon, and this ultimately, this next boogeyman, or however you want to call it, this next thing that's coming, that's supposed to scare everybody, like the whole C19. This is what's gonna get people rights taken away. This is what's gonna have chaos all out in the streets, and this is what's gonna bring in martial law, and this is what's gonna cause them to change laws and things like that they already got set in place. You know what I mean? So they're just looking for another disaster to cause so that they can make their next move, you know, into is establishing this NWO, this New World Order, which is going to be basically a digital system. And, ultimately the end goal is to have everybody chip with the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, So, I'm going to touch on this article a little bit, then I'm going to bring out a few scriptures, and I'm going to close it out, because it's very plain, to understand this, if you have, the ears to hear and the eyes to see what's actually going on. But it says, the head of the World Health Organization warned Monday the world must prepare for the next global pandemic. You see? So they letting you know that they got something planned that's coming next. That's gonna be a lot worse than what we went through with the whole C19. And it says warning that the consequences could be even deadlier in the future. They tell you, you know, this is them basically telling you what's about to happen, and to prepare for it because it's coming in a very short time, man. And it says the threat of another, you know, emerging that causes new surges of disease and death remains, and the threat of another path emerging with even deadlier potential remains. WHO Director Tedros told a meeting of the World Health Assembly in Geneva, noting that PDEMs are far from the only threat we face. Tedros stressed that the international community cannot kick this can down the road. If we do not make the changes that must be made, then who will? And if we do not make them now, then when? When the next PDM comes knocking, and it will. See, they letting you know, man. They telling you that this newer, whatever chaos they gonna cause, whatever disaster that they finna bring, they saying that hey, it's gonna be a lot worse, and it's gonna be even more surreal and out of control than the last one, because we already know that the last one was the whole C19 thing. We know that was controlled, that was planned, and so is this one. But this time they're gonna plan it to get out of control and be a lot worse so that they can come in with order, and establish new laws and things like that. You know what I'm saying? This is how they gonna do it. Crime rate gonna be going up. It's gonna be crazy out here. Killings, deaths. The whole famine thing is gonna be set in place. They already got the locks and things on these grocery stores. On these like in these aisles, they got locks on the doors and things like that to keep the food in. It's all being set up, man. You know, dollar is crashing. The whole digital system is being implemented at the same time they talking about this new disaster is coming. It's all planned out, but they telling you that it's gonna be a lot worse. And they said when the next PDM comes knocking, and it will, it says we must be ready to answer decisively, collectively, and equitably. He stressed. That's a hard word to say, but it says more than 6.9 million people globally have died of the whole C19 thing. According to them, according to a WHO tally. Tedros noted that the C19 PDM showed basically everyone on the planet needs to be better protected. So this is letting you know that basically they saying that they have laws, they have all these things set in place so that when this happens, they saying that they're gonna be prepared for it. That's what they mean by being prepared. They saying that they have certain laws, certain things set up so that when this happens, they can go ahead and start, you know, making it establishing the next phase of their plan, of this NWO. So this is basically them saying that they have things in line for when this happens, you know. And it says we cannot kick this can down the road. He said, if we do not make the changes that must be made, then who will? And they basically saying the same thing in this passage. It says we must be ready to answer decisively and collectively. They basically saying the same thing they just said above, but it says the um the 194 WHO members states are working on a global PDM accord with negotiations set to continue over the next year. Tedros said it's important initiative to keep the world safer. So like I said, they getting things set in place for when this happened because they already got this whole next PDM plan to happen, but they saying once it happened, they're gonna be prepared and have things set in place so that once this happened, they can basically take control and basically usher in this new world that they're trying to establish, which is the NWO. You know, so they letting you know, and it says, and for enhanced international cooperation, the PDM Accord a generational commitment that we will not go back to the old cycle of panic and neglect that left our world vulnerable, but move forward with a shared commitment to meet shared threats with a shared response. So the whole everybody is going to be doing the same thing. Everybody is going to be under this one rule, under this new law, so to speak, on how to handle this new PDM that they got planned coming. You know, so these devils, they moving, man. They behind the scenes, and they got shit set up for when they set this new PDM off. It's gonna be all out hell and chaos, and they gonna come in with their order and their new laws to establish this new world. You know, and it says since 2009, American scientists have discovered more than 900 new V's. 60 Minutes reported last year. One potential threat comes from the human encroachment on natural bat habitats. Experts warn that such encounters increase the risk of paths transmission from bats to humans, potentially sparking future PDMs. You see, and that's basically it on that, man. They basically talking about how, they just talking about these lies and shit like that, trying to blame it on bats and animals and diseases jumping from animals to humans, when really all of this shit that they got, this is basically cooked up in a lab. You know, they can get certain things from these animals, but it's these diseases and things like that are not jumping off these animals. They getting certain things from these animals and they using it and they putting it in the lab and creating, certain things with it to affect people. You know, so these um diseases and things like that, they get out of these labs, man. They let them out of these labs, and this is what caused these global PDMs to happen. There's not shit jumping from bats to humans. You know, they creating this stuff in underground labs or isolated labs on islands and shit like that. The same thing that was going on in Ukraine, before Russia invaded. They was over there got bio labs and all type of shit, man. It's the same thing that they doing. But let me hit this scripture real quick. This is Jeremiah 44:13. It says, for I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by famine, and by the pestilence. So the most high, he's gonna use these pestilences to punish the land of Egypt, which we are in the new current Egypt right now. You know what I'm saying? We are in the new Egypt right now. We are in the new Egypt, new Babylon, etc. But the Lord said, "For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence." All three of these things is going to be very rampant over here in the U.S. very soon, man. You're going to have pestilences everywhere, diseases and shit everywhere. Famine is going to be at an all-time high. It's going to be very scarce to find food. And the sword is definitely going to be out here. Motherfuckers going to be getting killed by everything, you know, which is going to be, ultimately the judgment of the Lord, man. Just out here slaying people. The scriptures say that the slain of the Lord shall be many. It's going to be millions of motherfuckers dying by the sword, and the sword just means any instrument that can cause death. Guns, bats, arrows, any damn thing. It could be a hot iron across the fucking head. Don't matter what it is. If it can put you to death, then that's a sword. You see, it's a weapon. It can be turned into a weapon. So this is what's coming to the land of Egypt, man. And like I said, Egypt, we are in Egypt right now, which is America. You know what I'm saying? So let me go to this. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again," which is talking about our homeland Israel. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So this is letting you know that there's a different Egypt that our people will be brought to. This is a curse that was put on our people, that we would be brought into Egypt again. But this time, once we went into Egypt, we would be brought into Egypt, this time by ships. And when we got to this land, we would be sold to our enemies for slave men and slave women. And you can type in slavery. You can type that in, and all you're gonna see is so-called Negroes popping up. You can type in slaves on ships, and you're gonna see nothing but Negroes. Man, this was us. So that lets you know that this new Egypt, this Egypt that the scripture is talking about, is talking about a new one. And the way that we would get to this new Egypt is by ships. And once we get off those ships, we're gonna be sold to our enemies as slaves. You know, and that's talking about America, man, because no other nation went through that, or this scripture doesn't describe any other nation going through that except the Israelites, whether that's the southern or northern kingdom, because the northern kingdom went through it too, you know. But that lets you know that America is the new Egypt. So this scripture that was talking about the Lord is gonna send these plagues upon Egypt, you know, with the famine and the sword, you know, and pestilence, is talking about America, man. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, they letting you know what they finna do. They letting you know they next moves that they about to do, you know. So don't be surprised if this happens, a few months, a few years from now. But it's gonna happen very soon, man. And a lot of people gonna be caught off guard if you're not in the spirit. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakadash, double honor to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom.